Hey, what's up, everybody? Bro Trio here, and we are finally doing our Kirby rankings. I have been prepped, ready, locked, and loaded for this for over a year, and then Nintendo announced Kirby and the Forgotten Land, so we had to push it back even further, but I'm glad we did, because now we have the ultimate Kirby rankings from the Bro Trio. And Kirby has a lot of games, so these are not all Kirby games. It's just what we
mainline.
It's the mainline games.
No Dream Course. We like Dream Course a lot, but no Dream Course. No Tilt and Tumble. No Yarn Ball Time, whatever that one's called on the Wii U. And
Rainbow
Curse and all that.
Epic Yarn is on here to clarify.
Epic Yarn is the closest to a spin-off that we've got, but it pretty much plays like a Kirby game without the powers, which Dreamland didn't have powers.
Yeah.
So it was close enough to playing like a mainline Kirby game that we wanted to throw it in.
So a lot of work went into doing the planning for this ranking. Like I said, I've been locked and loaded for over a year, and I went through every single mainline Kirby game and played them. And not only that, I also took detailed notes on all of them, because I know Aaron and Scotty have not played every single one. I now have, and if you would like to see these detailed notes, make sure to go support us on Patreon. That's one of our rewards. You already get to see our own individual lists to see how we ranked every top 10 or ranking or anything. Now, you get to see my individual scribblings for every Kirby game and what I thought of them. Kirby has had a long tenure at Nintendo. He's been here for, 30 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And Kirby has been brightening everybody's days, being the cutest little potential god of destruction everyone loves to look at. And we are here to rank all of his best outings. So let's get on with it.
We hate to do it, but something's got to come in last. And after we ranked and calculated our things, we're taking it all the way back to 1992 with Kirby's Dreamland for the original Game Boy. I know it's the first game on the list, it started the franchise, but it's incredibly short. There's no powers.
It's like 45 minutes.
Literally.
Yeah. There's, as far as I know, there's no secret ultra final boss. It's just DDD.
Just DDD.
It sets a lot of things in motion, Wispy Woods, Krakow, stuff like that, but at that point they didn't even know if Kirby was pink or yellow, and there was you could tell there was more to go in the future, but it's a very good starting point, just not enough to push it over future entries.
It's also a testament to just how much of a banger of a franchise Kirby is, because if you take out the copy abilities, the game has not changed that much. It's still ultimately the same as Adventure. They hit it out of the park first try and only dabbled in it to make it a little more iconic and a lot more fun. But Kirby's Adventure came out swinging, and it's a fun time, a short time, but it's great on a road trip. Well, I hope y'all like listening to me, because I'm going for the next 3 entries, because I'm the only one that's played them. Fun fact, for the Bro Trio, anytime we go to talk about something, we notate A, S, or D, which one of us will talk about it. And it's just perfect for the Kirby rankings that the next 3 entries are initial DDD. So we just thought that was a funny fact to point out. But
he's the only one that's played them, so
yeah.
We have no business talking too much about it.
But after that short interlude, we're coming right back at you with Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. This was a good enough Kirby game. It tried to innovate a little bit where I didn't enjoy it as much, which is weird because I really like the Metroidvania genre, but I don't know why. A lot of people liked it, but I did not care for how Kirby went into the Metroidvania genre. It was just, I don't know.
It's a hard border to cross, because there's the same thing with Mega Man Zero. It just felt wrong. Having Metroidvania crammed in there.
Is it this one or Squeak Squad that has Smash Kirby?
This one started Smash Kirby, and that is amazing.
That's pretty awesome. You fight Master Hand and eat him, and you get Kirby's Smash moveset.
Kirby Smash is amazing. They introduced a lot of good copy abilities.
Yeah, Mirror is one of my favorite ones. I assume it starts in that.
No, that started in Superstar.
Yeah, no. Is Mirror even in the Mirror game?
I want to say no, but I don't know if that's accurate. But I don't think it was, ironically enough.
That's hilarious, if not.
Some of the cooler ones, obviously Smash. Cupid really was cool. You fly around and shoot arrows at people. So that's interesting to fly without, like, the puff limitation. You also had Missile, which is just badass. Kirby literally turns into, like, a big-ass missile and flies around. And then it also had some good bosses, but ultimately there were a good bit of uninspired bosses, like King Golem is just Wispy Woods. Why not have him just be Wispy Woods for the iconic, like,
he drops rocks instead of apples.
It is in the Amazing Mirror, so maybe that's why. But Kirby and the Amazing Mirror had a lot of great gameplay powers, and one of the less talked about things is the graphics. It looks great, and you just can't beat that GBA sprite artwork. Moving on from the Game Boy Advance to something a little less advanced. We're going back to the original Game Boy for Kirby's Dreamland II. This was my absolute first time playing this game, which is weird because, like, we really love Kirby's Adventure, but I didn't even know Kirby's, like, Dreamland 2 even happened until, like, somewhat into my adult life. And
yeah, like, I figured it happened at some point because we knew about Dreamland 3.
Right. But we just never had it.
Yeah,
never saw it. Never anything about it. But Dreamland 2 is actually really good because it introduces the animal buddies of the Dreamland franchise with Rick, Kine, and Koo. It only has about, like, 6 copy abilities, so it kind of loses points in that regard, but those short amount of copy abilities get multiplied by 3 because every copy ability is different for every animal buddy. It changes up a good bit of the boss patterns for, like, Kracko and DDD, and there's a completion bonus. So to complete it, there's these little, I think they're crystal shards or something you gotta find in every level. It's crystals. Yeah. But you have to find them in every level, and it's kind of like a secret way to find them. Like, you might have to have Cutter in this one level, this one specific moment. And it incentivizes
with, like,
you.
A certain pet, too, right?
Yeah. It really incentivizes you to replay I think you can pick level by level. But you get the option to, you just know you gotta do this with Rick, with Cutter, and then you can get that shard. And if you get all of the crystals, then you get the secret final boss with Dark Matter. And he is now I think you fight him as, like, the swordsman first, and he's pretty hard. And you're fighting him with this big-ass sword, and it's awesome. And then you fight him as the big old eyeball, which is the first instance of that. And that also was cool, because it's a super, super huge difficulty spike right at the end. But if you can, best Dark Matter, it's very satisfying, because, like, he shoots off these little blobs, and you can, like, reflect them back at him for massive damage. It was really cool. It's one of the funner, like, change up the gameplay final battles of Kirby, which happens a lot, so get used to hearing us talk about that. But flying around with a big ass sword fighting Dark Matter, and then beating up this eye was really, it really helps me appreciate everything that happens later in the franchise with Dark Matter. Next up on the docket is the Kirby game with by far the best plot. Because Kirby has some cake, and he's going to eat it. And then the Squeak Squad takes it, and Kirby gets pissed and chases them to the ends of the earth.
Why would they do that? Are they new here?
I have no idea.
Did they not know that he's a puffball filled with infinite power? I mean, like, Jesus Christ. What? I feel like they have to know who he is. Why would they do that? Why they could have gotten away with their plan had they not stolen Kirby's cake, I feel like.
So Squeak Squad basically takes everything about the Amazing Mirror and improves upon it. It's no longer like Super Metroidvania. It is like has really good collectibles in it and doesn't get enough credit for that because everybody's acting like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is the absolute first time you got the ability to upgrade copy abilities. But you had that in Squeak Squad. You had ability scrolls. Like, you didn't upgrade them, like change fire into like volcano fire and then dragon fire like Forgotten Lands. You basically unlocked a super move, more or less, for that ability to do. Like, I don't think this is quite it, but you know, with Yo-Yo, you have that like up-down ability where you do the Yo-Yo twirl, gyrocopter, whatever it's called. It's like that. Like, you get a really powerful like ability for every copy ability if you find the scroll. You had different colors you could do because it's on the DS, and I believe it was multiplayer. You could change your Kirby colors by finding spray cans if you want. Like, I guess Kirby just spray paints himself. And it has really good abilities and improved on some abilities. So Metal Kirby is meh. He's okay. It's just kind of like what Rock Kirby evolved into. Like,
from what I've seen, a worse Rock.
It's really slow. He's super heavy, but he can still fly. It's like getting Metal in Smash. It makes you able to take a hit, but if you do anything in the air, it's terrible. But it has really good abilities. Like, Magic was a really cool one. I really like Magic. Ghost is one of the cooler, like, how has Ghost not come back in a Kirby game? It's super rare, like UFO and Kirby's Adventure rare. But if you get it, you can possess other enemies and make them fight other enemies. And Kirby just looks super cute as a ghost too. And then you also get the animal ability, which how in the world did that not come out in Forgotten Lands? Like, Animal was one of the cooler abilities.
It's all about the Beast Pack. Like,
I know.
Where's Animal?
An Animal gives you the ability to dig through dirt in Squeak Squad, so you can find like different collectibles and stuff like that.
They had a dirt one. Why not have Animal? Oh well, new power-ups are always good anyway.
And that's the first game that Spark has now turned into Plasma Spark, so you can like dash back and forth, charge up Spark. It's basically Plasma.
I kind of hate that, but it's still. I kind of hate that, but kind of love it.
I mean, it's either that or Spark's just Kirby sits there and
it makes Spark. It makes Spark better, and they're similar enough.
Spark was exactly. Yeah, Spark was only about as useful as Spike, or whatever it's called. Needle. So,
but the Squeak Squad also, I mean, it's number 11, so you know the negatives coming. It has really repetitive battles with the Squeak Squad. They're almost always the same. You got the big dumb one. You got the tiny one in the UFO that shoots like lasers and stuff at you. You got the like fast, quick one that's stealthy. I don't know if you ever fight. I can't remember who it is. It's either DeRoach or another one, but he's like quick and like he's hard to pin down. But all the Squeak Squad battles just kind of got a little bit repetitive. You find them all over the place, and it's always the same weird, like, catchy the first time, but annoying the third and fourth time with the Squeak Squad sounds because it's just...
Squeaks?
Yes! It has squeaks in it. It's catchy, but then it's just like, oh, God.
It's catchy, but then they start going, like, mouse squeak noises.
Yeah. And then the final boss was is super underwhelming. I didn't really care for it enough because, like, you go from Dark Mirror Meta Knight to this star, and that's it. So I didn't really care for it that much.
Next up on our list was the aforementioned Kirby and the Epic Yarn. Now this is the closest to a spin-off we got, but it was just Kirby enough to squeak by. Now, Epic Yarn was very good, but very, very unadulteratively easy. Like, you couldn't even die. It was
You just lose your beads.
Going through the level and not getting hurt or whatever to get the 100% stuff in the level could get fairly challenging, but it was mostly just this easy, chill ride, and I'm not super, like, against that. And, like, it was cute little things like when you jump with Kirby, his feet turn into springs, and when you dash, he turns into a little yarn car. And, second player could be Prince Fluff or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I really like the aesthetics, too. Like, it's very pretty,
it's one of the best art designs.
Dial into it like Paper Mario does. Like, you pull, like, a string and it, like, cinches up the fabric and like you shorten the level.
Parts of the stage.
I don't know why Kirby did the yarn thing and then Yoshi did the yarn thing, but Yoshi just kept with the crafted stuff.
I'm glad Kirby didn't.
I'm glad Kirby didn't, but I wish Yoshi would stop, too. Because, like, it's always cool and pretty to look at, but at a certain point it's like, okay, this is cool when you do it sometimes, not when you do it all the time. But anyway, this is Kirby list, isn't it, Yoshi? Get out of here, you green donkey. Now, but what really set Epic Yarn apart, honestly, was that art style and the chill, relaxed nature of it. And the co-op with Prince Fluff was pretty cool. And I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but I heard somewhere it started as its own game starring Prince Fluff, and then Nintendo came in and was like, hey, put Kirby in there. And I don't know how true that is, but it's a total Nintendo move to do. And
I'd buy it.
You also have the cool.
It's happened before.
You also have the cool transformations where Kirby turns into the giant yarn bot and like launching yarn missiles everywhere. And overall, not our favorite, but absolutely phenomenal like art style and very fun gameplay. And overall, pretty yarn good.
The first Kirby game on the Switch didn't make as big of a splash as a lot of people expected it to, but we absolutely loved Star Allies. There's so much content to it, so many copy abilities, and most of all, it was a lot of fun. But part of that is we played it in co-op mode.
Yeah, full 4 players.
So, there's 3 of us. We only have to find one other person to have a full team, and that's how we did it.
And it was a blast playing with 4 people. I don't know, like I could see where maybe single player doesn't hold up as well.
No, it does not.
But
I replayed all of them. I did it in single player. Oh, I did not care for it nearly as much. It really put a smear on Star Allies because it forces you to copy and like take over the creatures of Dreamland with the Kirby mind control friend hearts. Like, you have to. There's no option to not. And a lot of times, like, we'll talk about this more in depth later, but it forces you to do the power mixing where you need like a water sword or something. You have to take control of a water person, make it your friend, and then hold up your sword, and then they'll spit on it. And then you have a water sword.
Don't spit on my sword.
And it's not good, like, conducive, fun, fluid gameplay as far as single player goes. Multiplayer, it's pretty darn good.
My main complaint, really, is that they added a lot of cool characters after we already beat it with no new content, really.
Yeah,
you added Marks. Marks is good now? You added Gooey? Come on, man.
Gooey, literally... Like, oh man, that was so cool when they added Gooey, because it's been a fan theory that Gooey is like a failed Dark Matter clone or piece of Dark Matter or something, and now in Star Allies, when he flies, he gets the little goopy rings like Dark Matter. It's so cool.
They know the theories, and they lean into them for sure.
Yeah, like I remember we got into it a little bit, but we had already beat the game at that point, so it was just fun to see Marks in them there. And for a game about throwing hearts and making friends, it got unexpectedly dark in places because you got like sacrifices.
That wizard sacrificed those girls and himself.
Yeah. Well, he wanted Void Terminator to come destroy the world.
Resurrect this dark god of chaos real quick. Like, why?
And
then Kirby's like, I'll beat it.
Yeah, one of the most cinematic boss fights in Kirby. That was such
And the inside of it looks just like Kirby.
Another fan theory. Like, it's awesome.
It looks like a legless. Creepy. It looks like a legless floating Kirby. It's horrifying.
He's just laughing while you're killing him.
What is Kirby? Is he the next dark god of chaos? What do we don't know. Oh my god. It's just wild how ridiculous they go with the lore in these Kirby games lately.
Here we are again with another Kirby game with the unique and pretty art style with Kirby's Dreamland 3. The entire game looks like it's drawn in crayon.
What's with Yoshi and Kirby copying each other? Because
yeah,
there's a lot of similarities there.
But Kirby's Dreamland 3 is one of the games I remember most fondly from my childhood because we didn't have it. We had Kirby Superstar, which is amazing because obviously it hasn't been listed yet. And our uncle had Kirby's Dreamland 3. And I remember we would always go over there and we'd want to play it because it's new Kirby and we loved it. There's animal buddies in this, 6 of them. And
it added an octopus?
It added an octopus, a cat, and a tiny bird.
There you go. I couldn't remember the other ones besides the octopus, which I call BS. She is a blob.
Yeah, I didn't know she was supposed to be an octopus for a very long time.
She was a blob, so I was like, that's fine. It's whatever. She's Kirby's girlfriend or something.
Her name's Choo Choo, so maybe that's something in like Japanese to mean blob, because that's what the Choos are from Zelda. But
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Kirby's Dreamland 3 has the animal buddies, and everyone has a unique play style. I don't quite remember if some of them had this in Dreamland 2, but this one for sure has it. Like Rick the hamster, he can jump up walls. The owl can fly. The tiny bird's extremely fast. The octopus lady can jump, like she can hold on to the ceiling and walk on it.
And she feeds you.
Yeah, and she feeds you. You don't
just like shoving things into Kirby's mouth. Perfect Kirby girlfriend.
And the cat can double jump. There are some new bosses that are very interesting because Addo was really cool. You fight an artist and he just paints stuff at you and you have to fight it. And it brings back some cool references to past Kirby games. Good to see that that's pretty much always been a Kirby staple. Yeah. And Arco with the shark, I have always liked because it's a big shark that looks like a whale, but it's not. I don't know what he is, but Arco is awesome. He shoots out his little youngins at you and rocks and stuff. He's really cool. There's also puzzles and collectibles. This one has probably my favorite collectibles in the franchise because you have these little super hearts you have to get from every single stage. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, throw cutter at this block and you get it. Other times it's as complicated as, hey, wipe out all these Metroids in this level and make Samus happy. You don't have to step on flowers. You have to water some flowers. There's a multitude of different ways to get everything in this game. And it's one of the more fun ways to do all the collectibles in a way.
Introduce Gooey also.
Yeah. Introduce Gooey. We just talked about him. He's amazing. We hated him as kids because he looks so stupid.
He does.
Well, I was mainly
I think it's the art style. I don't know.
It was just coming off a Superstar for me because I liked that I could take the form of the enemies. Like Poppy Bros Jr. is my favorite one to be just because I just like him a lot for some reason. And I couldn't be Poppy. I could have Bomb, but no Poppy.
So, we're going to do a little bit of the negatives and then go into the hyper end game positives. So, negatives are which side of the fence you fall on this. Depends on your preference. But going from Kirby Superstar to Dreamland 3, it went back to basics with the abilities. And yes, you do have 6 variations. Well, actually, 7 variations of every copy ability, because you have Kirby's and then all the animal buddies.
Yeah.
But it did go back to basics. It added a few new abilities, which are okay. Like cleaning, sweeping, whatever
it's called. You get the power of broom, but I like how the cat gets you and it's just
gets the big old
Kirby across the ground.
And with the octopus, you get on a witch's broom and fly around. That it's cool to use, but it sucks to use because you gotta point your butt at them and shoot the magic sparkles coming out of the broom.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
And the game, I don't know if it's due to the art style or what, but it is literally like slow moving. It is very slow. Seems like it's running like
and it's
extremely slow frame rate at all times.
It's even easy for a Kirby game too. Like it's mega easy, but overall, fantastic game.
And the biggest negative I have with this entire franchise. Every single game seems to do it differently, and I think this one was the worst. But King DDD's character design, what the hell? Like, come on! He's the king. He deserves some respect. Don't make him just a super fat blob of a penguin. Like, come on. He deserves more than that.
Then you fight a bloody eyeball.
Yeah, so that's the super endgame positive, is you fight Zero. This big old bloody eyeball, and you fight him with the love stick. I mean, what more can you say?
Now that we're halfway through the list, it's time for Kirby to go on his first real adventure. And that's Kirby's Adventure for the NES. This game has a special place in my heart because it's the first game I ever beat by myself. We like rented it from Blockbuster over the weekend, and I just stayed up for 2 days straight playing this game because overall the game is not that hard. The mini games, some of those are very hard.
Oh yeah,
like
Kirby Claw Machine,
Quick Draw, and the
Quick Draw.
Claw Machine's not that bad.
But
I love the eggs one. I can't remember what it's called, where you just feed all the eggs.
Eggs and bombs.
And
had UFO and laser. I miss them so much.
Yeah. Laser is one of my favorite powers. It's so cool to like bank it off of like angled surfaces.
Yeah, and it's such a pleasing sound effect too.
Yeah.
Especially for the NES.
It's like the first one that was like, DDD's not that bad. In fact, he's holding in a nightmare.
Yeah, literally.
And that's what I was leaning toward earlier, was the difficulty spike of all difficulty spikes at the time.
The game changed. Like, it changed how you play.
Yeah,
for that
like
final boss, which so much Kirby did a lot after that.
It might not be that bad now playing it. I haven't played it in a long time. But once Nightmare came out, that game turned into a nightmare because I was not able to do anything. I couldn't hurt him. I didn't understand because the gameplay shifted. And it took me a long time to figure out how to actually play through that, but it was so satisfying when I finally got it. I remember it was, like, I think I woke them up in the morning, because it was probably like 2 a.m. or something, and I was just screaming because I finally did it.
Kirby's Adventure also introduced the copy ability to the franchise. We kind of glossed over it, talking about some specific abilities, but introduction of the copy ability, like, my god, how it was a complete and total game changer. Like, half of the enemies you fought in Kirby's Dreamland, you can now absorb their powers and use it like they do. It was really cool. And then Nintendo also remade Kirby's Dreamland into Nightmare in Dreamland later on the GBA, and it had that amazing, beautiful, like, how weird is it that doesn't happen more in like pixel art games, but that cool GBA sprite art, like, that is so cool. It also gave us one thing that future Kirby games would give us almost all the time, and the ability to play through the game as one of the characters in the Kirby, like, plot, because you get to play through it as Meta Knight. I was gonna say bad guys, but he's not that bad.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
Playing through it as Meta Knight is completely different. It's Sword, but better. And Kirby's Adventure, I don't know what it is recently, but I have been really, really extremely just hankering to go back and enjoy this adventure.
And by the way, Nintendo, bring back UFO, because it's one of the best copy abilities, and not just part-time.
A lot of franchises that Nintendo had made the jump to 3D when we got to the Nintendo 64. Now, Kirby decided to wait about 20 years to do that, but that doesn't stop Kirby and the Crystal Shards from being one of our favorite Kirby games. For mainly, honestly, probably one reason. Power mixing. Oh my god, how? Yeah. It has not been a thing before. You could do, like, elements in Kirby Star Allies, but I don't think power mixing's ever been back.
No, it hasn't.
Ever.
No, not really.
At least not to this extent. You could have a fire sword by mixing fire and sword, of course. Bomb and rock made dynamite, and Kirby got a little hard hat and hid from the dynamite.
That power took me so long to figure out how not to kill myself. Also, fire sword, Kirby just vomits out a big ass claymore. Like, it's awesome.
And then, what was it? The one where Kirby made the big, like...
Oh, Spark.
Around
That's just Spark.
Yeah.
Regular Spark?
Regular Spark and then Spark.
Spark. I forgot you could double up on powers.
Yeah.
But my favorite of the lot
Double Rock was one of my favorites.
My favorite of the lot was honestly probably Sword and Spark, because you were just Darth Maul.
Yeah, you turn into Darth Maul. Bomb and Cutter, I believe, is really cool. You get exploding ninja stars.
That's probably... honestly, the sole reason it's this high, because, like, even for a Kirby game, it's stupid easy. And, like, getting mad at a Kirby game for being easy is like getting mad at Elden Ring for being hard. It's like, why even bother?
Yeah.
But it's just like...
the mini-bosses literally just sit there and let you kill them.
I don't know, if I can beat it in my sleep... I don't remember. Like, I feel like I can beat Kirby and the Crystal Shards while I'm asleep. But, anyway, it's still... amazing game. It has really cute little cutscenes, and it brought 0-2 back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not bleeding this time as much. He's got a little poop look like a vine coming out of him that you gotta shoot.
Yeah.
But I do miss the bleeding eyeball, but he's an angel now.
Yeah.
Is that because he's dead, or because Kirby's the f***ing angel killer also? I don't know. We don't know Kirby's goals. We can't understand them. We know he's here to help, presumably, but that's only if we provide enough cake.
One of my biggest regrets in my gaming career is that I slept on the 3DS Kirby games until I recently played through the franchise. Kirby Triple Deluxe is absolutely amazing. I loved this game from start to finish. It was very, very cool how they implemented 3D into it, because you can turn on the slider and they have these cool little level mechanics like Donkey Kong Country Returns, where you can jump from the foreground into the background and back to the foreground, and enemies can also do it and attack from it to it and everything like that. It's really cool. Kirby Triple Deluxe, as any Kirby game does, introduces some new copy abilities. Circus is weird, and it's okay. Bell is also weird and okay. Pretty better than Circus.
It looks awesome, though. I don't know why.
It's Kirby ringing bells, wearing a bell. Like,
I don't know why I like the way that looks so much.
Archer is one of the better new power-ups, because it's kind of like a ranged, like more ranged cutter. Like, you can like angle it any way you want it. It's similar to Spear from Return to Dreamland. And then you get to the best new ability, which I am praying to God comes back soon, with Beetle. Beetle's basically sword mixed with suplex.
Yes.
It was absolutely awesome. You just slash at people with your horn, and you can fly. Like, I know Kirby can always fly, but now he has Beetle wings to do it. It plays a funny sound effect with it, and the whole game is based on bugs, because... shit, what's her name? Queen Sectonia is the main bad guy. She's like a bee, and it's cool that Kirby can be a bug fighting bugs. So they also have these really cool levels that are basically like ghost houses from Mario, where it's like a slower paced level, more based on like puzzles and like thought process than action. So that was really cool. And also, as we mentioned earlier, Queen Sectonia is a badass, and her fight is really cool. You also get the Hypernova ability from this weird magical fruit you can eat. One of the, like...
thought Kirby could, like, suck in stuff before. Jesus.
Now he turns into a rainbow, and he eats, like, the entire background. Like, it's wild. It's one of the, like, cooler, like, funnier gameplay aspects of a Kirby game. You also get the extra mode where you can play through it as DDD for once, not Meta Knight. So that was refreshing that you can play as DDD. This is cool. And you also get these negative, like, you can collect these keychains, but they don't really do anything. It's cool for like a little nostalgia trip, like you can get like 8-bit Kirby and Nightmare and stuff like that from past games. But ultimately, you don't really, it doesn't matter. But, 2 places that I like this game the most are, one, it has an amazing soundtrack. It's one of the better Kirby soundtracks, and that's saying something.
That's high praise.
The whole franchise has basically been done by like the same 2 composers too, which is really cool. I found that out after I played it. I went through all the soundtracks and put them on my phone. But yeah, they were like at the almost height of their powers, because the height of their powers comes later in this list. But second big old plus for Triple Deluxe is Queen Sectonia has the amazing mirror, and she summons Dark DDD and Dark Meta Knight. It's really cool, an amazing callback, and it's just like, how the hell does she have this?
After all these years, Kirby finally tried the third dimension, and damn did he do it well in Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I don't think there's ever been a Nintendo game that transitioned to 3D as gracefully as Kirby. Because, like, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, amazing, but they don't play as similar to their older games as Forgotten Land does to old Kirby games. This is literally just 3D Kirby. For better or worse, I think it's mostly for better. I do wish sometimes they went a little further with it, but overall, Kirby and Forgotten Land, I think, is the best Kirby game we've had in a long time. I think it's a little too low. I wouldn't put it too much higher than this on our list, but it's my number 2 Kirby game. Like, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was incredible, and what they were doing with it was new enough, but familiar enough to not be weird or anything. Like, because for a while, I felt like Kirby had this identity crisis. Like, it was like, he's Yarn now, he's a ball. I don't know, whatever, it's just Kirby stuff.
What's the new gimmick this time?
But then, Return to Dreamland came in and course corrected a bit. And then they were just making these great Kirby games, and they'd have a gimmick, but it would still play like Kirby. And now Forgotten Land, the gimmick is 3D. And comparatively fewer powers than most Kirby games, but there's also the power-up, like, variations that, for a lot of them, change how they play. And they even made sleep, like, useful. Yeah. Because you can sleep and heal or get a status buff or whatever. And
sleep became very viable when you can sometimes get a second health bar.
Yeah.
Building up Waddle Dee Town slowly was one of my favorite parts of the game. And unlocking new mini games, which I pretty much liked all of them. I didn't like the cooking one so much. Because, I don't know, I just didn't care for it. Yeah, for some reason, I just couldn't do the last level of it. I had to get some co-op help with that one because I wasn't good at it. But the fishing and the marble game and everything, really liked.
I love that marble game.
The arena, oh my god, was so good. And later on, you get really cool power-ups, like you get Meta Knight Sword, and spoiler alert, you get Morpho Knight Sword for the final level of Sword.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. And it was kind of like, you don't get it till way late in the game. So, but if you had it at the beginning, you wouldn't use anything else. Because, like, using anything else is just inefficient at that point. Because Morpho Knight Sword is just destroying everything with ease, basically. And this one had more story than most Kirby games, also. Like, you get teleported to this land, there's a decent bit of dialogue. You find this little flying squirrel, and automatically, because of the next entry on this list, we were like, this little bastard's going to betray us.
Oh yeah, I didn't trust him at all.
Nope. And he technically didn't. He was half of a different being, which is some kind of weird space god, of course.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's Kirby's time.
A weird new space god.
Yeah,
keep that in mind, not gloss over that, because not being dark matter or some Zero or whatever, 02 from the past was very cool. Because Void Termina seemed like he was, but then he kind of turned into dark matter at the end, but,
Yeah. So this entity dragged Kirby to the Forgotten Land because it needed Waddle Dees for slave labor. And
hamster wheels.
Yeah, big old hamster wheels. And then he straight up, like, delved into body horror and absorbed all these animals. It was blobbing coming after you. It was
Akira.
It was Akira straight up. It was the ending of Inside, just in a Kirby game, just coming after you. And then after all that, you fight Chaos Elflin, whatever his name was. You fight that's the one. Yeah. You fight the main one. No, Chaos is like final boss. Elflander. You fight the big bad, and you have to mouthful mode on a diesel and drive down these buildings as they're falling while he's teleporting Popstar to the Forgotten Land to destroy everything. And you're just on this diesel, and then you have a Dragon Ball Z beam struggle with him while you're on this diesel.
It was incredible.
It was so ridiculous.
Speaking of, mouthful mode was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mouthful mode.
We kind of glossed over that, but that kind of makes up for the lack of abilities, is because you have mouthful mode that is kind of half abilities.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And there's lore implications yet again, because it's what's his name? Leongar implies that the residents of Popstar came from the Forgotten Land originally.
Yeah.
It's to me, was heavily implied, because he said you went off to your Dreamland or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh my God. Land of Dreams or something.
The Land of Dreams. So it's heavy lore implications, a new god for Kirby to have murdered, and a new friend in Elflin who did not betray us, and had a fake out death that made me sad and then immediately not.
Well, if you were scorned like us, then you already know what this entrance is from Scotty's hint. But Kirby's Return to Dreamland was a super fun and cute time until it wasn't. Because Kirby's Return to Dreamland 1 introduced a few new copy abilities like Leaf, Spear, Water, and Whip, which were all awesome.
Oh, hot damn, Whip was good.
Introduced 4-player co-op into the Kirby mix, which was awesome, although co-op partners are regulated to specific abilities, like you can be DD, Bandana Wild D, or Meta Knight. You can't just be Poppy Bros Jr. But we'll go ahead and get into this, because it is a Kirby game with a plot twist that at the time no one saw coming, because this cute little guy just hey, help me fix my ship, it's broken.
Go to hell, Magalore.
Yeah. And then you do it, and Magalore's just hey, let's go kill this dragon, and then you're yeah, that dragon, he broke your ship. And then you kill the dragon, or at least hurt it, and then Magalore takes its crown, and it's just I'm bad now, bitch, and you're staying here. So then you get on said dragon and chase his ass, and then it turns into a side-scrolling shmup, and it's awesome, because you're literally riding a dragon, shooting fire across the screen. And it kind of gets awesome if you're in co-op, too, because this dragon has multiple heads. But if you're in co-op, the dragon just splits into multiple dragons, so everybody's on their own dragon.
Yeah, I loved seeing everybody on their own dragon, just wrecking everything.
Now, they made Magalore good right after you beat him or whatever. I was not a fan of that.
I got taken over by the crown, and you're no, f*** you, Magalore.
He needs to die.
Stay bad. I will never trust him again.
He just got his ass kicked and relented, that's all.
So, Return to Dreamland also has a lot of cool aspects of it. The big gimmick is something that is so huge, it's literally massive and made its way into Smash for Kirby's Final Smash. But the super abilities. Kirby gets these whack-ass huge versions of specific power-ups that, he gets a sword that's, 8 times the size of him and just swings it around. He just summons a fire dragon with fire. He turns into a big ass snowball. The super abilities are awesome.
I forgot about the snowball.
You also have these cool rooms that are Doom rooms. They're black and white challenge levels. It's very similar to the challenge roads from Forgotten Lands, but a lot of times you don't have power up in them, and it's side auto scrolling too, so they're pretty hard. It also has several collectibles that help you out a lot, because the more collectibles you get, the more doors you can unlock on Magolor's ship, which means you can get like extra abilities to go into rooms. Very similar to like the museums from Kirby's Adventure. Return to Dreamland brought a lot back from like past Kirby games in like one of the best ways possible. It also, this is not really positive or negative, but the sub games they're there. And then the negatives are like half the bosses suck. Like not that fun. Like you fight that weird ass big fish frog thing, and it's just like, this thing's ugly and I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Also, kind of not take away too much from Magolor, but he's basically just Marx. Like he's so, like, he fights exactly the same as Marx did in Superstar, which maybe it's just me, but we played the shit out of Superstar, so I was already like an expert at fighting Marx. So it's just that. But final Magolor Soul, he uses the super abilities that Kirby does. So that was really cool to see the bad guy get a big ass sword, and then Kirby just like, screw you, Magolor, I'll make a bigger sword. And then he does, swings it super fast. Like every hit, it changes to a different sword. It was awesome. Like one of the cooler, I don't know if it was quite a QTE, but it seemed like a QTE in the pacing of it. It was an amazing finish to one of the like the best games on the Wii.
How do you make Kirby even cooler? You put him in a mech suit. That's how. Planet Robobot, it just turned everything up on its head. It was just like, hey, you know Wispy Woods, that tree that sits around and throws apples at you? Now it's a cyborg tree that has drills for hands, and he's gonna attack you for real. Like, it took the classic Kirby formula and just cranked it up as far as they could. The music is great. The mini games are so fantastic they became standalone games. And
also
every boss.
No, sorry.
Yeah, every boss was just fun.
Yeah,
I don't remember one that I was just like, eh.
The only one I could think of that was just like, was like Robo Meta Knight, because he was just like a slower Meta Knight, but not even like, that's still fun.
Yeah.
And they also had a lot of cool callbacks with some of the bosses. Like when you play in Meta Knight mode, you like, okay, so the Hartman Works Company is into some sinister shit, and so they're obviously trying to take over Popstar and technologicalize it. But if you play the Meta Knight mode, they're also getting into cloning and shit too, because you literally fight sword-wielding Dark Matter again, Queen Sectonia, and Galactonite, which was awesome. Like, bringing back Queen Sectonia was really cool, like that early. From like, that was the previous game, but it was awesome to see it.
And on top of everything else, it brought in some of the coolest copy abilities, because like ESP was really fun, but Doctor, I loved Doctor. I don't know why I loved it so much. It didn't have to be as good as it was.
It's Kirby in a lab coat with the weird head thing.
Poison, come on. That was just fantastic, because water was already a good power-up, but now you have a status effect on top of what water could do before. And to throw a wrench in everything, your robot also has power-ups. Like the sword was one of my favorite ones, because you're just going around chopping everything in front of you. Like cutter, you're throwing saw blades. Jet, you just turn into a jet. And like wheel, you turn into like a giant motorcycle, tricycle thing. Every aspect of that game was just very well thought out, and I don't remember a single time that I was just bored or just completing it to complete it. I wanted to see the end of this fight. Not
to mention, the freaking plot of this game is one of the best plots in the franchise. Like, it's not quite They Stole Kirby's Cake, but it does have a lot of dialogue, and it's one of the like weirder, like more like lore-heavy versions of it, because it's also a callback to Superstar, because the Hartman Works Company It's just like, hey, we can build a new wish-making Nova Star, right? Yeah, we can. Let's do
why
it.
not? What could go wrong?
That's so cool. Like that. Oh my god, that's so cool.
And then in true Skynet fashion, it becomes self-aware, and then it's like, I'm going to kill everything. Then Kirby has a fight in space. He scans the halberd and turns into that with his Robobot.
Yeah,
and fights this big cat stopwatch in space. It's awesome.
We had to end this list with what we consider the ultimate Kirby game, and you can only do that when you have 8 to 10 games in one, and that's exactly what they pulled off in Kirby Superstar. Kirby Superstar is honestly one of the landmark Super Nintendo games for us. We played the absolute hell out of it. Even we love playing the little mini games where you can race each other or fight each other and all that.
Yeah, Samurai Showdown.
Samurai, I think so. Something like that.
Megaton Punch.
Megaton Punch is cool.
That's the introduction of Bandana D, I think.
Yeah, I think it shows just how strong Kirby is. That you can punch a crack in the planet.
Yeah, all the way down. But where it came, like, as you progress, you unlock different stuff, and the stories actually start tying together. Like you beat Dynablade, and then when you're almost done with Meta Knight, Dynablade comes in and helps you, and like Meta Knight's minions being terrified of Kirby is one of my favorite parts of that game. And but when Dynablade comes in, they were just like, "Oh my god, it's Dynablade! Oh god!" Like horrified, and they shot it down immediately, which was sad. But Dynablade coming back was so awesome. And then Great Cave Offensive added some light adventure-y, slight, not Metroidvania.
It
really,
was.
But
Yeah,
like,
it was. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the good kind of Kirby Metroidvania.
Yeah, but you get little treasures and all that, and Superstar Ultra came in and made a lot of this stuff better. Like there was like a treasure tracker or something now.
Oh yeah.
And of course the graphics were better. It was that pretty GBA style, but a little more cleaned up because it's on a DS. And it added new modes like Meta Nightmare and all that, and True Arena. Oh my god, True Arena was awesome.
True Arena.
But
if I could interject real quick, because we didn't talk about my favorite game, which is Milky Way Wishes. Because
absolutely Milky Way Wishes.
Milky Way Wishes is awesome because you can't copy any abilities. You have to find them, and it's really cool that like it's like the last game in this series of games.
And that's where the cat stopwatch came in, the Nova.
And Mark's
the original betrayer. It didn't catch us off guard as much because he's a little clown with like sharp teeth or something.
You've barely seen him before then.
Yeah.
He's like in the background.
I don't know what it was with 16-bit games and like clowns and weird laughs and stuff, but like they seemed like quite a few. I can think of Kefka and the floating head in Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And Marx's laugh is like some weird like little. It's almost like the Skull Kid.
Yeah.
Like
Marx was
like
creepy.
That. Not at all like what we did.
No, not even a little. It's kind of like the Skull Kid, how it's a little quieter. It's not like straight up like Kefka. But Marx comes in and he wishes to be the devil or something. I don't know. And Nova's like, "That's cool, dog." Like Nova in that game was chill. He didn't care. He's just like, "I'm just here, man. I'm just vibing." And then so Marx is the devil now, and Kirby's got to go kill him. But
that's like the first instance of like a Kirby boss that just becomes like this horrible monster. Because Nightmare is scary, but he's kind of just a cool dude with like a star cape. Like Dark Matter is weird looking because he's just like a floating eye in space.
Marx goes from this cute little clown boy to this Nightmare Batwing Devil clown boy
that splits himself in half,
and there's
to reveal a black hole inside of him.
His ass.
He's just transforming his body with every attack. It's terrifying.
And the theme song for Marx is horrifying and awesome. And he's shooting blades out at you. It's like we said, splitting in half, shooting like a million arrows at you out of his body.
Shooting a big old mouth Kamehameha at you. And
you have to do different genres like normal, but you're hopping from different genres to regular Kirby genre because you got to blow up the core of the Nova and then fight Marx. And then Kirby
Yeah.
You just kick the shit out of Marks into Nova, blow them both up, solve all your problems in one fucking hit. Go ahead, Kirby. Kirby Superstar is just the ultimate. In True Arena, you fight like
Mark Soul and Galactonite.
Yeah. It was awesome. It introduced a lot, and Kirby Superstar is just like, it's not crazy long, but it's so freaking packed. It's so good. Kirby Superstar, like, it took the Kirby formula in a way more action-y direction that I don't think any other game has replicated properly.
It took so long for combos to even come back, because you have like button press combinations to do in this game, and they stayed dormant. They stayed gone until Return to Dreamland brought them back. And that did it, and then they got a little more gimmicky, and then Triple Deluxe and Robobot were just like, no, we're keeping this forever. Let's keep it. And like Amazing Mirror had it, but to a lesser ability. Same with Squeak Squad, but like it all stems from Superstar. Like that is the first game that was just like, you can do more than just press Y. Like you can do some cool shit with this.
Best bosses, best copy abilities, best overall gameplay. I would say that's why it made our best Kirby game. We were trying not to count Ultra too much because that's a little unfair.
It's about the same, anyways. I don't think it really affected much. Like,
it's just added. But Kirby Superstar, number one on the list. I feel like it was almost uncontested. I don't remember what your guys' ranks were.
Me and Aaron both prefer Robobot that much, so Kirby Superstar being number one is not a bad thing, because both of our number twos, Scotty's number one, it's obviously the Bro Trio top pick. Like, there's no getting around it. Superstar needs to come back. They need to do like Superstar Super Ultra and bring it to Switch. Put in like some like the pretty like 3D model like Robobot graphics, but like HD. That would be amazing.
Like I'm really hoping it come August 1st we get some kind of big grandiose anniversary collection, because there's a strong rumor about it. But August 1st is Kirby 30. And
is it? I thought
in North America.
North America release. I'll clarify that. We just can't get enough Kirby here, so give us more, please.
Well, that's going to be our Kirby rankings of the mainline games. I hope y'all enjoyed it. You probably heard me talk about it multiple times in this video and on the channel. I'm thanking God, which is probably Kirby, that we finally got to do this ranking. I have had this. It's one of my favorite memories of doing like research for this channel, like ever. Like playing all the Kirby games was so fun, and I just can't wait for more Kirby to come out. Even though we just got one, maybe we'll get Forgotten Lands DLC with like the Animal Buddies or something. Like I want more Kirby, because it just feels like we're on like the upsurge of Kirby again.